This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted to once again, in I'd say the second time in just over a week, my good friend Jeremiah Milton. Jeremiah, as always, good to see you. Good to see that you're still about here in the UK. How's everything doing, man?
Yeah, man, I'm going good, man. So everything's going good. I'm feeling great. It's a lot of heavyweight action going on. So yeah, we're gonna stay on the call and keep talking about it, you feel me? Um, yeah, I'm good.
Exactly, a lot of heavyweight action. We'll start off by talking about yourself, obviously. Last time we spoke, you just landed in the UK, just landed in Essex, sparring Anthony Joshua. Now I'm guessing that you have shared some rounds. How has the sparring been so far with AJ?
Yeah, he's coming along, sharp, a different fighter than Dallas, and that's just a credit to the team, and the system and everything like that. Everything is just seeming to be gelling. So, I just believe like, okay, um, it matters like who you have in your corner and stuff like that. Like if it's the right fit for you, he found it.
And how different has the sparring been with AJ compared to the previous times you sparred with him to now?
I would just say like, he's really intentional about his movements and things that he's doing now. So, you know, whereas like, okay, there might have been just some different things not really being um, probably lost in translation. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, not to take away from any coach out there, but like, being able to relate something and get across to the fighter, uh, that's big. And the communication between him and his team seemed to be like, you know, it all just works.
And for yourself, obviously, while you're there for Anthony Joshua's benefit to make sure he's prepared for September 21st, what are you able to take away? What have you been able to take away from sparring so far?
I've been in a lot of camps. I've been around, and it's a blessing to get these different opportunities. But a lot of it sometimes will feel a bit the same. Uh, it's been a while since I got out on a camp, and it came out to a camp. It felt like even I was learning things. Ben, very approachable guy. Lee Wiley. These guys are, pretty solid dudes. And on top of it, like, the gym is just, they got just really hungry professionals in there. Like they live in the gym. So the atmosphere alone, you feed off of that, those champion mindsets. I don't know who's all the champion out of the gym, but everybody's working as if they're champions, and they live in the gym. Just after one thing, they back in it, and they're just locked in. So, feeding off this energy has definitely been a nothing but a bonus. And usually, like I say, it's usually not like that. When I go on the road, sometimes it just gets a little monotonous. But um, like I say, I've picked up a bit.
Very good to hear. And now that you have shared rounds with both Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois within recent times, who do you feel has the upper hand heading into the fight on September 21st at Wembley Stadium?
I mean, you look, I have to go with Joshua on the experience again, right? So Joshua has the experience, but they both. This is going to be a good fight because both of them are on the upswing. Dubois has been at. Um, he's finally challenged for a world title when he fought Usyk. Didn't come through. The mental pressure and everything like that might have got to him in a moment, but you build resilience off of that. And that's what happened in the Jarrell Miller fight. He built up the resilience in his mind to keep going, to keep pushing. So he's gonna be there. He's gonna be there. Um, but Joshua's been on this level many a times. He's been here a lot more. Um, the belt is on the line, and Dubois is the champion, but at the same time, uh, he's never actually won a belt. So, you know, we'll have to just see what happens on the night. But I would lean into the experience, um, just in the moment, and not even that. Just like I say, it's going to be a close fight. You never know. It's heavyweight boxing, And between both of these guys are both big units, both big punchers. So it could be a little bit like, okay, what do you fancy more when you look at them stylistically? But you know, Josh is working with me. Come on, man, he'll be all right.
Fair enough. And then moving away from Anthony Joshua and you being in camp, just this past weekend, we spoke about this last week about the heavyweight fights on the Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov card, and we said off camera, if anything crazy happens, we'll be back. We're already back, so we're guessing something crazy's happened. Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole as well will start. What did you make of that fight?
Yeah, Jared Anderson's fists are just too light. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't compare to what Bakole was bringing in the ring. Uh, Jared puts off a lot of nervous energy. He's young, so you can read him. You can really read him. That was my opinion on it. I think he was always aware of what was in front of him. It doesn't mean he didn't give up. He didn't give up. He just got schooled and you know, call it humbled, call it whatever you want to call it, Sam Martin Bakole put the beats on him, the beats by Dre. Maybe he gets a sponsor, I don't know. But yeah, it's just one of those things, Jared is young. He's 24. He used to be 23, but now he's 24. So he's he's got some time to try to come again, of course. But will he come back? In what fashion? Because, like I said, I don't really see too many people in the top 15 that he's really getting through. Um, you gotta look at these fights, man. When you see a guy that has all these TKO knockouts, unless his name is Deontay Wilder or something like that, or like really guys like Better Beef and stuff. These guys are proven that they're knocking you out. Yeah, these TKOs they're always a bit suspect to me. One of the Russells, one of the Russell brothers, he had all those TKO knockouts, and then he fought one of Salas's guys, and it just went down to like just getting outclassed, at the end of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. These records sometimes can be very suspect. Um, Inappropriate matchmaking sometimes. So we'll see what he does. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, like, I get somewhere closer to landing something like that, an opportunity. I'm still here for it.
One thing that I mentioned on the Seconds Out live show that we do on a Monday, um, obviously we're all talking about the Jared Anderson getting stopped, and I believe I said something that this loss could be a very big blessing for him. We've seen that he has shown signs of struggling with the pressure of having all the lights on him. Now that he's suffered that defeat, could this loss be a big lesson for him and almost we could see a revamped, rejuvenated version of Jared Anderson when he comes back?
It depends on his mental, yeah. A guy like Dubois, he had the resurgence. A lot of people are comparing it to, I see some of the bloggers, they're saying, oh, well, Dubois had helped him out. But you got to remember, Dubois, his daddy keeps him in the ring, and Dubois, he don't know too much else but fighting and boxing. And so he always wants to improve and do better. He's never said anything like he wants to check out early or anything like that. So, it could be, we're going to see if it's a blessing or a curse, I'm sure he made a good penny getting cashed in against Bakole, but at the same time, how does he respond back to that? Does he just look at the money? Does he look at like, well, I'm safe now because sometimes when he's like, oh, I'm 23, I'm 24, da, 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 he's always giving himself these excuses and these outs, to just be like, to relieve the pressure off himself. You know, I need him to have these mental flaws if we ever fight. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna exploit every one of them. But at the same time, he'll need to do real soul searching for himself because I'm sure he's made a decent amount of money, a really decent amount, and so yeah, like this is hard life, man, and there got to be something else on the other end outside of a payday for you to make you succeed. So I don't know. You see these stories a lot of time, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody gets put on this pedestal for a couple of years and then they just disappear. And we'll see what happens with him.
And how surprised were you by the result of Jarrell Miller getting stopped by Martin Bakole?
I mean, nah, I'm not super surprised. I mean, I can't come on here and just completely bash him because then I'm gonna sound like a hater. But if you know the sport and if you study it, you watch it, you see what's really happening. You know, Martin has only got the loss to Mike Hunter, and Mike was on fire when they fought. Um, still Mike is training. It's just a rough night for anybody. Um, but yeah, stylistically, it all just there was too many red flags around it. You know, hey, I don't got a fucking crystal ball, but at the end of the day, it's just like the writing is on the wall, kind of with that one.
Fair enough. And then looking at the man who came out victorious that night, Martin Bakole, he's already started calling out some names, and I think the one name that seems to be getting heavily linked with him already is Zhilei Zhang. If that fight is to get made, how do you see it playing out?
It's a different fight. It's a totally different fight. Then you're getting back into the real 50-50s and the swings, because here's the thing. We know Zille can punch. Bakole does a lot of things where he's just walking in squared on. This is why he can punch from any angle because I don't have to be in a boxing stance. The punches can come from up top, around, out the bottom. But that's because you have no respect for this guy. You know what I'm saying? If you go in there with absolutely no respect for Zhang and you don't get past round six, because round six, Zhang he's gonna drop. His activity is always gonna drop after round six. Very dangerous for the first 5 to 6, and then after that, you can cruise your way into a victory or even probably stop him. But you know, coming out, you can't be you couldn't take the same risk. I think Martin's gonna ride this wave right now because he toppled the idea of America's next heavyweight. He conquered that. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was giving this guy high praise. So on paper, you know what I'm saying, he has this juice, but can he do that with a real elite fighter? You know? And Jared is elite with marketing. He's not an elite fighter, my opinion, just my opinion. But the marketing made him an elite name. Um, Somebody to be looked at and watched carefully. But there are certain things you can get away with depending on who you're in there with. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, if I was gonna go, you know, uh, spar some amateurs at the club and stuff like that, I'm not gonna be switched on like I would with a live wire. It'd be like, I don't know, if I go home and just beat up my cousin real quick. I could do that. Well, I could throw anything.
And then if I was to ask you for a prediction on Martin Bakole versus Zhilei Zhang, if it is to get made next, what would you say?
If Bakole is smart, then he wins that fight still. But I could see him if he's gonna fight the way he fought. He cannot fight the way he fought Jared. No, no, no. Because if you walking in like that, Zhang is gonna clip you. And yeah, they're both big dudes, so the physicality will be about the same. But Zhang is a very sharp puncher. Um, I think he possesses just a bit more snap than Bakole, but both of them enough to concuss you. So just be smart, and take them in those later rounds. Don't go in there because he's very much he's sharp with the counters. He's sharp with the counters. Pretty agile for a big dude himself. And he's just waiting. He's waiting to find these little holes. And I think he can flash you. He can flash you out. He possesses the ability to just turn you off. If you get too over greedy and stuff like that.
Then moving forward, the other big heavyweight fight on the card was Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller. When you sat down and watched that fight, what was going through your mind as it was unfolding?
Man, I was like, what a shit show. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, I just be playing. But No. I thought Miller squawked, kind of edged it out in the end. I wanted Andy to win. You know what I'm saying? I like to see him stylistically. I kind of knew that that fight was going to be a close one. I was leaning towards Miller, even though I wanted Andy to win, just because essentially they're kind of like the same fighter. Um, but at the same time, Andy's the better boxer. He just gets put on the. What can he do if he gets put on the back foot though? And that's what happened, and you know, I thought Miller possessed a little bit more power than that, but he must not be hitting too hard because there really wasn't any dents really put in Andy. And he just kind of maybe could have did a little bit more in the end, but it's all right fight.
And for Andy Ruiz, obviously, this was his first fight in 2 years, coming off a massive layoff. Following the draw in a fight that a lot of people around the world who watched the fight thought he didn't deserve the draw, thought he'd lost. Where does he go from here? What can be next for Andy Ruiz?
Man, it's hard to say just because, like, when I think about the American landscape right now, so many of these guys are like really close in competition with each other. Um, you know, only person I would say is on his own little league right now of names is probably Michael Hunter. But again, it's not like I don't really know who needs an Andy Ruiz fight coming off of a draw, where people thought that he lost. So, uh, you know, the Saudis are gonna make it happen. We'll end up hearing about some type of matchup. I don't think Ruiz is gonna stick around much longer though, because he really needed this win. I don't think he wants to fight anybody. He's gonna take more calculated. He's gonna accept calculated offers. He's not gonna just jump in there with most people himself.
And then for Jarrell Miller, obviously a good performance, a performance that many people thought deserved the win. What do you expect next for him? Do you expect him to stick around and be on these big Riyadh season cards?
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm saying? He's, kind of crying at the end of it, saying he don't catch a break. But last time I checked, like he's caught all breaks. He stays on the scene somehow, getting good paydays and running his mouth. And yeah, he's always going to be good for TV and networks and stuff. So, you know, yeah, he'll get another opportunity. I don't know who it's going to be, but yeah, it's just a revolving door out in Saudi. If you do well, they just recycle you right back into the mix.
Is it frustrating to see, despite obviously Jarrell Miller obviously being a clean fighter now, look when you look at his past and see the failed drugs test, is it frustrating to see him getting these opportunities when there's a lot of other heavyweights out there who are also just as deserving for an opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. If I'm just being honest, I really try to remove my uh, bias about that. But you got to remember, I was an amateur when these guys were pro. And so for me, I remember when I used to train, I'd be like, man, yo, how does this guy have all this stamina? He just keeps throwing punches. And, I was very impressed with him, especially, just checking out who's on the US scene. And to come to find out, yo, okay, this guy is actually, oh, this explains it. This explains it. You pop for just about every pill, every juice on the market. Oh, wow. So then, the the idea is kind of tainted, you know what I'm saying? And then he got another shot with Top Rank. They picked him up, and then boom, he fails that one. Wow, drugs. And so it's like, okay, dude, you just got a history, dog, where you know this is a very dangerous sport. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen. Anything can happen in spawn. Anything can happen in a fight. And so, like, you know, I just want to advocate more for the clean people out there. How could I not speak up on this and just be okay with that? Because yo, if I was to be in there, my life would be on the line to somebody that's juiced up to the gills, that's already wanting to hurt me, I'm wanting to hurt him, but also he has juice. So yeah, certain people though, they can do whatever they choose. And yeah, there's always going to be consequences, but are they really as harsh? If it was my opinion, he would have had a lifetime ban. But at the end of the day, hey, he's making his efforts now, and yeah, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Do you think more needs to be done in terms of punishing fighters who test positive for banned substances?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because here's the thing, um, nobody cares about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. They just see the results. The fact that this guy did pop, the fact that he was dirty, um, by any gram, anything, like, how did it get there? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm sitting here, this is what I'm doing for recovery. I got a Lucozade, yeah? That's the plug. Go ahead, AJ, that's the plug. So I'm just drinking that. You feel me? Like, okay, I know what's in my body, man. If it ain't that, you know what I'm saying? I got some little mixed nuts over here or something, how you end up with this in your body, and you know what you was taking it for to get an advantage, you know what I'm saying? So you didn't do the hard work, you didn't do it, of course people can be out here probably drinking and chilling if they got some extra chemical in their body that's going to help them get past that line. Um, and yeah, man, you damage folks for life, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be sparring or whether it be a fight, you know what I'm saying? When somebody gets knocked out or hurt, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a for life thing. And it's gonna extend past your boxing career. So we all know the risk. What we take those risks, assuming the other guy's clean.
Fair enough. It's a very, very good assessment. Just moving on to the last topic. Obviously the main event of the evening, Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. Again, a very, very close fight. How did you score it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that guy must have like he must be deep in with the zone or something. Cause it was a good fight. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a good fight, but the only person that was making any sense that night was Sean Porter. Um, he's seen it wide, and I seen it wide as well. I thought that Crawford definitely looked like his power wasn't all the way there yet at 154. But volume, activity, shot selection, Madrimov was landing that straight. And Crawford didn't make a lot of adjustments to defend it, but it was kind of few and far between. Sometimes he would have a lot of success with it, but you see that the punch stats came out. Crawford was the much busier fighter. I think Madrimov was more accurate, but he threw way less punches. And so, yeah, I thought it was just a kind of a masterful boxing performance by Terence Crawford. I thought he managed to put his shots together really well. And I just wasn't seeing what they were seeing. Like they even had Ryo losing the pit bull up until like the seventh round, and they kind of changed their tone. So remember when you watch the fights, you gotta also like sometimes not listen to the commentary because you can get lost in that. But my personal opinion, I thought it was a very dominant performance by Terence Crawford. Um, 1 year out of the ring, that's just that Midwest energy. You know what I'm saying? He brought it.
So when you're sat there on social media and you're seeing, people saying the Terence Crawford fight was close, Madrimov was robbed, or even some people saying the fight was a draw, you don't agree with any of that at all?
Nah, man. I mean, like, I just don't know what fight most people was looking at. I think they might look at like the forward pressure and this busy, like he's just kind of fainting and fainting. But bro, where's your punches at? You know what I'm saying? The same thing Jarrell Miller did at the end that didn't win him the fight was just come forward and not let his hands go. So that he had moments where he was landing with the straight, but like it just really was like Crawford must have enough power for him to respect him because this guy didn't get busy or even go for it. And I don't know, the people talking about, oh, the coach said, oh, he's coming out to knock you out the last round. As a champion should. You know what I'm saying? If I still got some energy left in me and I got one last round, I'm a push for the statement. Not that he's behind on the scorecards, but you in there with Terence Crawford, right? Like this dude is not about to let it easy on you. So yeah, I don't know. So many just weird opinions in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? My opinion don't matter for nothing, but just like I say, like I think Crawford dominated the fight. Um did he look as dangerous as he has in the past? Maybe not. But again, that's a big jump. Again, first time a year out of the ring. Maybe he stays up there and settles in a little bit more. But yeah, and Madrimov was deserving of the fight. He's a hell of a fighter.
Before the fight last week, and I guess you could say during the build-up in the fight week, there was a lot more hype on the talk of Crawford versus Canelo taking place next. But after the fight, the interest seemed to just die the second the final bell went, and people just weren't sold on it anymore. If that fight was to get made and we were presuming that the fight was going to be at 168, how do you reckon Crawford Canelo would have played out?
That's the thing. Stylistically, you know, I think here's one thing, you know what I'm saying? I might get some flack for this one, but I think stylistically it'd be a different performance. When somebody's moving with that herky jerky rhythm, like Madrimov was doing, it makes them hard to time and hard to find. Canelo's style, even though he is pretty good with the defense, he's not moving like that no more. And somebody like Crawford that's gonna actively place punches, I think he would look better in there with the typical stationary boxer than he would with somebody that's just moving on him like that. Um, Now, I'm not saying he's going to be able to take Canelo's power. You know, that's going to be the biggest test. Is if, let's say, if Canelo has to push for it, which we know he will he be able to keep him off? That might think that's where everybody looked and was like, wow, because if Madrimov would have probably pushed, how would how would Terence have responded to that? You know. But again, I don't think he could just walk in there like like people thought, like, okay, because obviously he kept that rhythm going because he was getting hit with some stuff too that he didn't like, and he was trying to disrupt, Crawford's pattern. Um, so yeah, I think Crawford would look better boxing, but would he? It's just the power. It's just the power. Would the shots that Canelo throw, would they move him and put him out of position? Will he be able to stay there with the power, you know?
Do you believe that 154 could be Terence Crawford's limit?
154, 160, you know what I'm saying? That's my version of opinion, you know what I'm saying? But hey, here's the thing, right? Only in boxing, we have two people with actual accomplishments. Actual accomplishments. One guy will say, hey, I want to fight this guy. And this guy will be like, nah. And his fans will come and say, they'll give you every reason for why Crawford should be in the ring with Canelo. Everybody, but again, we talking about two superstars of boxing. Why not? If Crawford say he want to get in there, let him be a man and get in there. Instead, we get Canelo Berlanga. Who care about that? You didn't even ask me about that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather see Crawford Canelo than Canelo Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? But look, we gotta sit here and act like we are excited for this fight. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of if Crawford is too small or anything like that, he said he want to get in there. Well, Canelo got in there with Bevo, and you see, once Canelo got in there with Bevo, he ain't running back up there to get in there with no more big guys. He was talking about coming to heavyweight at one point. You know what I'm saying? You don't see him talking like that no more. So if you the bigger man, whatever, and this little dude want to come up to your territory, as the heavyweights do, you gotta defend that shit. You know what I'm saying? Usyk come up there, ran the whole fucking heavyweight division. Okay, so how you stop Crawford from thinking he gonna come up here and run the middleweight to whatever weight you at, super middleweight? You shut his little ass down then. If you the tough guy, you know what I'm saying? It should be easy money for you, right? And hell, I don't really buy pay-per-views. I'll be streaming them. But let me tell you, I'll pay for that one.
You mentioned Canelo versus Berlanga. Obviously, it is clear to see that there's not as much interest in that fight from yourself as there would be for Canelo versus Crawford. But how do you see that fight playing out? And do you feel a lot of the talk could still be around Canelo versus Crawford, despite His Excellency saying that he's not interested in that fight anymore?
I see Canelo stopping Berlanga in brutal fashion. Um, it'll probably be some early stuff. Honestly, that guy, they're gonna sell the fight with the antics, But there's just levels, man. There's completely levels. Canelo is on that level. Um, too much IQ, too much ring generalship, and knowing where he's at in that square circle. Uh, why did we get this fight again? I don't know. But Canelo's doing this thing. He can just kind of pick and choose. And yeah, he's in a. You got to remember, a lot of these guys are in really good financial situations. So like it takes more than just saying, "Oh, I'll give you 20 million to do this," because they've made that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what it's like to have 40, 50, 60 million dollars, but I could imagine adding 10 to 20 more doesn't really change your life that much. So yeah, they're gonna request these huge numbers for the fights that we actually want because they're competitive fights. You know what I'm saying? But we'll just get a Berlanga fight because he's gonna make money and it's not gonna be competitive.
Fair enough, Jeremiah. Thank you very much for your time as always. Always a pleasure catching up with you. Enjoy the rest of your stay in the UK while you're here. And I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon. Thank you.
Jay, appreciate it.